that, we've got one more presentation. It's regarding strategy, potential revenue streams for operators with respect to big data analytics, and it will be presented by Brad Hine from ETI Software. We could please welcome him up to the podium.
Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. It's good to see you today. I want to thank the FTTX Africa Council for inviting me here. As you can tell by my accent, I'm not a native. My name is Brad Hine. I'm the product director for ETI Software in the United States. I've spent about 17 years in product management for web applications and software. The last 6 have been spent managing and building and developing GIS-based analytics systems for telecommunications company, very much like a lot of the attendees here at this conference. I am a premier member, and my company is, of FTTX America, so it's great to be among you all. I think we all have some very similar goals that we're trying to reach and be successful with. So just today, I want to talk to you a little bit about my company, a little bit about what we do, what my experience is on a daily basis, what my goals are for my customers, and how I leveraged big data analytics and some products to give them more value and create a way for them to have more revenue streams and better track their margins through all their business units. I'm also going to speak on some use cases at the end, a couple specific ones that are very recent to us in the United States that may end up aligning here with some of the municipal and smaller fiber to the premise deployments here in South Africa. ETI Software, I've been in business. We've been in business as a company for about 25 years. Our core skill is that we're OSS BSS integrators. So we integrate for all communication service providers, all cable TV, utility, satellite, lots of different technologies we've integrated with over the years to manage subscribers and deliver service to them. We currently, today, our software and all of our customer accounts control about 7 billion daily transactions globally. We manage up to 18 million and growing devices. Our solution is scalable, and when I mean scalable, I don't want you to think that we're only for one piece of the market. About 20% of our business are larger telecommunications, cable, broadband providers. 80% of those we focus, and our passion is based on municipal fiber broadband companies that are trying to leverage dollars and grow fiber networks for their community so they can keep the economics and all the dollars in their communities. It's a passion for ETI in the US. I'm proud to say in the last 4 years, we've expanded globally. We work with service providers now on 5 different continents and growing. A little bit about BSS and OSS solutions. So that may be a bit foreign to some of you, but needless to say, as an OSS BSS software provider, what we do on a daily basis is we're trying to manage subscribers. We're trying to manage their locations where they live. We're trying to give them and activate services over devices. So those main 4 things. Those 4 things touch a lot of different subsystems. As you know, telecommunications and fiber broadband companies have a lot of different management systems for a lot of different things. And it begins to be a bit overwhelming for them when you have to be able to automate all that into a process to be efficient and make sure that you're saving your revenues and you still have your margins. Some of the systems that we touch and we work with on a daily basis, the subscriber information systems or a subscriber CRM, any location-based information, any billing system that we may have to integrate to pull data into a centralized place, activation of services, managing devices, network monitoring, asset and inventory tracking, ticketing system, workforce management. As you can see, this list goes on and on and on. And for some of you that have lived in the process of trying to grow a broadband company or a telecommunications company, you're used to a lot of these bullets I'm putting on the screen. We have to manage a lot of things in business units. The business units sometimes have challenges that they end up being siloed. They purchase software that's only for their business unit. And getting information that may help your daily job from a subsystem that lives outside of your business unit is a challenge. It creates a lot of inefficiencies for us in our telecommunications. ETI software sees that on a daily basis. And so what I'm trying to do on a daily basis is listen to customer challenges. I sit with my customers that are deploying fiber, whether they're greenfields, whether they're already deployed and just starting to roll out processes, or mature fiber networks. We want to look at the subsystems that they're using. We want to look at what they're doing manually today versus what they could automate. We want to look at those gaps, and we want to devise methods through standard products to do three main things. And these are very simple. Keep subscribers happy. Keep satisfaction high. Everything you do should touch that, very simply. Refine and automate processes for efficiency. We need to make sure not only are processes automated, but they're efficient. When we look at the dollars and cents behind it, is it making sense for us? Or are we spending a lot of money on something to automate that we really don't need because our life cycle doesn't dictate that we're at that point yet? Every refinement, every process, everything that we put down in paper for our teams to follow must have a positive effect on revenue, and it must control costs. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we all have to look at a bottom line spreadsheet and explain what we're doing and how we're doing it and how it's of value to our company. So some of the challenges that I see on a daily basis before we start to build an analytics platform for our customer. Our customers and business users have to have access to all relevant data. It sounds simple, but I can tell you on a daily basis, we run into this problem all the time. I'll give you a quick example. The marketing team asked the IT team for a list of targeted customers that have a certain device that might need to be retired so they can upsell them better services. They wait 3 days, they get a list that almost is everything that they need. The IT team goes back and doesn't have time, and 3 days later they deliver another list. By this time, we've almost lost a week's worth of time in work based on an idea. For an analytics platform, I should easily be able to take all that information out of the system if it's interoperable and all connected on the back end. Information in silos. These business units become siloed information. Silos have to be broken down. Walls between business units and between data have to be broken down. As we know, all this data exists in different sets, in different subsystems. It sometimes exists in structured systems, a database. It sometimes exists in a spreadsheet, we find out. What we're trying to do is get all of those into structured systems so we can access it. We have to be able to monitor things real time and live on a daily basis so we can identify issues and respond quickly. Spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. We all use spreadsheets. But flat file reporting just doesn't cut it. It doesn't cut it when we're trying to make quick decisions about what's going on in my footprint. I can't tell you how many times I speak to a general manager and he says, I just want to know what's going on, and I want to know where it's happening. We want to be able to monitor all the locations in our footprint, all the subscribers, technology, devices, all the services at any time from one place. I don't want to have to go to 4 different systems to solve one problem. So how do we get there? In terms of analytics, what do? We have to integrate and connect all internal systems in a real-time way. Interoperability. As I said before, I work for an OSS/BSS company. We're very used to integrating data into one central database so that people can get things done in an easier manner. Data visualization. Now, this is going to be the theme for the rest of the presentation. Visualization of your data. And I can tell you, I'm not here to sell GIS to you. I'm here to tell you that it's much easier to solve problems if you can visualize your data, 90% of telecommunications data is location-based. We should use a system that aligns with that type of function. We can leverage traditional business tools, spreadsheets, reporting. A system that delivers you a map that shows you what's happening in your footprint should also have the ability to very easily deliver you a result in a spreadsheet or in a flat file form that you can share with your team. It's just data, right? We need to create business rules for a whole organization and intelligent workflows around these analytics workflows. So all in all, what we're trying to do is combine all of our BSS, OSS, our business and operational systems with a visual GIS system. We need to monetize and measure ROIs on every single thing we do and refine our methods constantly. The way to do this is to visualize your footprint. I don't want to wait for a customer to call me to tell me that they don't have service. I don't want to call an engineer in a separate business unit that saw an alarm going on in a subsystem that another team isn't connected to. I can now use maps and location-based software to show me system data from any system as long as there's a location tied to it. And I can tell you, once again, subscribers have an address, that's a location. They have an XY coordinate. A truck in the field has a mobile, has a constantly changing location. When trouble tickets and work orders are done in the field, they have a location. When there's a subscriber bill that goes out, it has a location. When you're trying to figure out service penetration of a certain business line to see if that business is viable for the future, or if you have enough churn going on it to get rid of it, it's location-based. We use demographics for that too, which is also geographically and location-based. When we started getting lots of requests from our customers, because we manage all of their data, what's a better way that we can manage this? We sat down with our customers and found on the average they have about 5 different business units in a fiber broadband situation where there's a few thousand to maybe 100,000 subscribers. Customer care and service assurance, network planning and management, engineering, sales and service delivery, and market analysis and planning. Of those, we've developed 15 different subcategories that we know we need to track metrics for on a regular basis. And what we do with those metrics is we identify for those specific business units. If there's a problem in that business unit getting at a certain piece of data, we acknowledge it, we evaluate the system, we learn where the data lives, and we turn that data into live real-time maps. Now I will tell you, there are questions that I've already had this week. Well, not all analytics need to be geospatially based. Well, that's true. That's why we combine non-geospatial with geospatial. Once again, 90% of the telecommunications data is location-based. Our backdrop, our palette, if you will, should be a map. A map that's interactive with our data that lives in it. So I can click on anywhere in the map and derive information and attributes of that object. And so that's where I've seen a lot of success in analytics. We need to centrally locate all this information. We centrally locate it, we create layers of information. A layer of information could be all the addresses in your footprint. Another layer could be the subscribers in your footprint. Another could be the recently disconnected subscribers in your footprint where their service is not enabled anymore. Another could be former customers or customers that didn't pay. Another could be outages currently going on real time in the devices that are at the subscriber's home. Work orders, ticketing, field trucks, all of these things for all these different business units, we want to be operationally intelligent. That is our goal. We want to make sure that every business unit has access to that central cloud of data and they can customize it or they can choose the result they want to do their job the best. Monitoring. The first step is always monitoring. We need to monitor what's going on a daily basis. Our field vehicles, our subscriber patterns in terms of the services they consume. So visualizing all the network elements is huge. I've come into so many different customer accounts where they visualize their network data in a design tool, in a map, but there's nothing real-time coming through it. And so we work with customers to change that. We analyze all the performances going on in real time. Because there's a database behind it, we can track historic views too. We evaluate critical events. We respond to all the issues before they develop into certain problems. Analytics comes in many different ways. What we're trying to do is make sure we're tracking the information that happened, the descriptive analytics in data. We want to make sure that we're tracking everything that's going on currently. And we want to be able to track trends the third way, to predict based on history too. The second step is to respond. Once we've monitored everything, we can respond. We have to respond based on the fact that everything is live in that map. So we visualize, for example, visualize device outages going on. Now, these devices could be anything. They could be an ONT device. It could be anything that lives in a network, an OLT. It could be an IoT device. As long as some subsystem in a telecommunications service provider connects to it on a network, we expose it visually. So as soon as we expose all this information, we have to prioritize it. We can give it cues and keys to tell you how to respond. It's not just interactive, but it suggests a way that you respond, and you set all these meters. When you're doing this visually, as opposed to looking at it in a form-filled software or a spreadsheet, it's so much easier just to look at a map and understand one icon means one thing. An outage maybe for a large customer that you have a service level agreement with that comes to dollars if you don't respond quickly. And another outage for a device that really you may not have to monitor in an urgent way. So things like that are very possible once it's living on a network and we expose that data. The third thing is we want to report that data. We have to have reporting methods, not just a still frame map. Clicking on a map is great, but what our customers need is the ability to click on an incident or a subscriber parcel or a location or a province and figure out all of the attributes that currently live under that heading and be able to search for those quickly and easily. You start with the map, but you still need types of reporting that are traditional. Like I'm showing here, it's in the US. It's an ability for a customer in the US to deliver a federal government report that happens every quarter that they have to do that normally takes days for people to gather all the information and then make it geospatial from a spreadsheet. If we start with the GIS in mind and apply the attributes to the map in those locations and areas, it just becomes a form-filled exercise to deliver information to me and then see it visually and how it's penetrating my footprint. Being proactive is the biggest thing. And I'll tell a quick story about this. When we first started working in analytics, we really didn't realize all the data that we were managing on a daily basis. And we had a customer come to us, and the customer said, I use this GIS software, and we're having a problem communicating outages going on in real time in the footprint. We have to wait for a customer to call us, which means they do that 3 times, they're no longer a customer. That's a pretty serious thing. If we close work orders and service tickets in the footprint and they're past due and nobody in management knows about it and it's not exposed to the whole organization, you're starting to lose customers because, once again, the customers aren't happy. This customer said to me, I need to find a way to populate a map with an icon that tells me the severity and the priority of a certain event going on that is an insult to the network that's making service impossible to this address. So we devised a way, we got the data in the system, we launched triggers and filters for them and started to create an actual choreographed workflow for them to respond to in their network operations center of about 17 people. And at that point, they could see things going on in real time and immediately produce reports, click on objects in the map, and get a short list of attributes so they could respond with meaning that's relative to the incident. So we would deliver a better customer experience because of this. So let's talk about the lost or forgotten data. Data exists in all different types of places, nooks and crannies. But the questions that I always ask customers are, am I leveraging all the necessary data in your ecosystem today? Is there anything that you need that I'm not doing for you? What information can I use that's location-based? Do you already have location-based data? You have addresses that have already been scrubbed that are accurate, or can I do that for you? Can I automate crucial processes with visualization? Which systems should I access for this automation? And that's very important, as you know, in a telecommunications service provider. There are certain things I have to know in real time. I have to know anything that's going on with the customer that may make them churn or a negative impact of service. I may not need to know their bill every day, but once a month is enough. That's a situation where it's not as urgent. So do these processes need to be real time is what we ask ourselves. So let me talk to you about one of the recent experiences I had with a customer. The customer was a utility customer. The utility was financially leveraging the construction of a fiber broadband network. Like I said, at ETI, our mission is to deliver these services to communities so they can thrive with economic growth and build these fiber networks. It's important to everything they do. So they had a fiber network. They wanted to deliver voice, video, and data, so internet, TV, and phone services to the community over a fiber network that was already being tracked in a GIS platform. We created 26 use cases based on issues they had of managing things manually. We tracked all their workforce management, all their vehicles, all their fleet vehicles, all of the information, all of the inventory on those fleet vehicles, the schedules of the tickets going on in real time, the physical locations of those. So as the map appeared in front of the Network Operations Center, they would see icons popping in and out, and things would tell them when there was a priority for them to respond. The networks and alarms were next. Subscriber services and devices, we know where all the devices are. Once again, they knew the age of the devices, drawing a circle around an area and saying, what are the devices in this area that I may need to retire to upsell better services over fiber in this area? They were also trying to get rid of older networks and older legacy networks, so that was very important to them. So the network design and the assets and inventory was very important to them too, because, and I'll go to my next sample, they came to us with a problem and they essentially said this: when we deploy something or a customer churns in the network, we're losing assets. We don't know what's out there and what's deployed. How can we track those geographically? And so I'll give you an example of one thing. A simple card in a cabinet that's connected to a fiber cable that will deliver fiber to 32 customers. So one card, 32 customers. They wanted to know in every single cabinet, and they had over 160 of them, what was the inventory and what was the capacity of that area? Meaning, could they have had more assets in that cabinet than they actually needed? Was it costing them money that they had already spent? Is money just sitting in the network waiting to be reclaimed? Well, the answer was yes. So based on locating everything through geography and using their asset and inventory tracking around the boundaries of the actual cabinets delivering fiber that we defined for them. Let me explain what you're looking at here. For every dot that you see on this map, you see the possibility of an asset that can be reused and reclaimed and taken out of the network. That asset, in this particular case, was costing them about $2,000 American. That's a lot of money for things to be sitting in your network when you go to buy more things at the end of the month and put more items in your warehouse. So we showed that to them, and then we showed them the capacity of all the areas. And all the areas where you see green, those areas are low capacity, meaning there are too many assets in those areas. We can easily pull those out. So the teams identified where to go and what to collect and what to put back in the warehouse to save money, which is great. The CFO, however, said, well, that's a great map, but can you put dollars and cents to every single one of those and tell me what we're wasting. And because a GIS system has to come with formal reporting, the report that you see on the left-hand side there, I'm sorry, you're right, my left, tells me area by area the potential waste of one asset type sitting in the network being underutilized and not being put back in the warehouse. This customer actually ended up exposing $150,000 worth of assets sitting in the network that they did not want to tell anybody was sitting there and was poorly managed. We helped them with this situation. They've not had to order a single asset of that type for 9 months, and they're still growing and profitable. The last thing I'm going to leave you with today, on the other side of the fence, the other side of the business, I've already talked about operational intelligence, market analysis. The same geographic information system can be used to track geographic information for marketing teams, for better target marketing, to see who used to be a customer, who is a customer of somebody else if they churned and they answered an exit code, and we applied it properly in our data, and it shows up that they're now under a competitor.